Now, ties between Canada and India have hit rock bottom in an escalating row over the murder of a Sikh separatist leader, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Diplomatic face-off between India and Canada. It's only heating up further. India gives a strong worded response.
Grading ties with Canada after, remember, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau continued to level baseless allegations against India.
Canada has expelled 6 top Indian diplomats. Serious and shocking allegations.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm Najma Minhas. This week, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau went on his front foot and continued with the next phase on last year's shocking claims, where he accused the Indian government of supporting criminal activities in Canada. He now said that these activities include spying, threatening South Asian Canadians, and being involved in violent acts, including murder. The ongoing diplomatic crisis between the two countries centers around the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a prominent Sikh separatist leader who was killed in June 2023 in British Columbia, Canada. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau alleged in September 2023 that there was credible evidence suggesting that Indian agents were involved in Nijjar's killing. This claim last year sparked a major dispute between the two countries, which led to diplomatic expulsions on both sides.
As the RCMP Commissioner stated earlier, they have clear and compelling evidence that agents of the Government of India have engaged in and continue to engage in activities that pose a significant threat to public safety. This includes clandestine information gathering techniques, coercive behavior targeting South Asian Canadians, and involvement in over a dozen threatening and violent acts, including murder.
The Canadians at that time expelled the Indian intelligence chief that was stationed at Ottawa as well. The countries were also in talks to sign a trade deal, and as you can imagine, that fell to the buy side. Now, the Canadian government has identified Indian High Commissioner Sanjay Verma and others as persons of interest in Nijjar's death. They asked India to waive their diplomatic immunity so that these men could be questioned, but India refused. In response, Canadians expelled the Indian High Commissioner and the others. In a tit-for-tat move, the Indians did the same, including the Canadian High Commissioner told journalists in New Delhi that Canada has provided India with credible, irrefutable evidence of ties between agents of the Government of India and the murder of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil.
Canada has provided credible, irrefutable evidence of ties between agents of the Government of India and a murder of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. Now it is time for India to live up to what it said it would do and look into those allegations.
Now, interestingly, this has happened on the eve when an Indian inquiry committee was due to arrive to Washington, D.C. to probe into similar U.S. allegations of an Indian government official's involvement in a foiled plot to assassinate an American national and the Sikh separatist Gurpatwant Singh Panun. The Canadians have spoken to the other members of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, which includes, along with Canada, the United States, the UK, Australia and New Zealand. It is believed that Trudeau's allegations regarding Indian involvement in the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar are based on intelligence gathered by this alliance. Reports suggest that India's allegations against India may be informed by this intelligence gathering and shared by its partners in the Five Eyes network. I hope you will like, share and subscribe to the content on this channel if you're enjoying this video. Your engagement is key to helping the channel grow. India had labelled Hardeep Singh Nijjar as a terrorist, but has strongly denied involvement in his death. His killing has increased tensions because India has long accused Canada of allowing Khalistani extremists to operate freely on its soil. The Ministry of External Affairs has put out a statement which says that India reserves the right to take further steps in response to the Trudeau government's support for extremism, violence and separatism against India. With regard to Trudeau's recent allegations, they've described them as being absurd and accused his government of pursuing vote bank politics, which is a reference to political maneuvering aimed at securing votes from specific communities, and in this particular case, the Sikh diaspora in Canada, some of whom support the Khalistan movement. India believes that Trudeau is courting these groups of people for electoral gains, especially in regions where the Sikh community is influential. The Indian Ministry of External Affairs in this statement also pointed that Prime Minister Trudeau's naked interference in Indian internal politics in December 2020 showed how far he was willing to go in this regard. And they basically were alluding to the Canadian Premier's comments on the farmers' protests during that period, where a lot of Sikhs were coming from the Punjab. And he had a huge pressure from the community, the Sikh community in Canada, to say something about the government's response, the Indian government's response to these protests. India has accused Trudeau of pandering to these groups who are now a significant part of the Sikh diaspora in Canada, especially in provinces like British Columbia and Ontario, where many of these people are said to support the Khalistan movement. The Indian diaspora in Canada is one of the largest, most influential immigrant communities in the country. There are over 1.8 million people of Indian origin in the 2021 Canadian census. It makes up about 5.1% of Canada's total population. Out of these, approximately 770,000 are Sikhs living in Canada, which make up about 2% of the total population. Canada is home to one of the largest Sikh communities in the world outside of India, and the majority of these Sikhs in Canada live in British Columbia and Ontario. So politically, the Indian community has grown in influence over the last several decades. Several Indian Canadians hold prominent positions in Canadian politics, most notably Jagmeet Singh, who is the leader of the New Democratic Party and a key political figure of Sikh Indian descent. He has himself made very strong comments on the Indian government's role in the alleged killings of the Sikhs, with links to the Khalistan independence movement. On this issue, Singh has advocated for concrete actions by the Canadian government. And in a press briefing on October the 15th this year, he's called for the Canadian government to impose diplomatic sanctions against India. And he's asked them to ban the RSS network within Canada. Now, while Singh's comments have been direct and been focused on the Nijjar's case and its implications for his community, the Sikh community, as well as for Canadians overall, he is a long-standing critic of Indian policies towards Sikh separatists. And he's long advocated that Canada should recognize 1984 anti-Sikh riots in India as genocide. As the leader of one of Canada's most important political parties, this party often plays the role of a kingmaker in minority governments. So he has a crucial role in supporting Trudeau's Liberal Party and ensuring that it gets the votes it needs in Parliament. So Jagmeet Singh plays a huge role in issues that touch his community. Now, just a few words on the Khalistan movement itself. It originated in the early 20th century, 1920s to 1940s, at the time of the partition of the India-Pakistan, which divided the whole of Punjab between the two countries. But it really took off in the 1970s and 1980s. Sikhs took control of the Golden Temple, one of their holiest places. The Indian government under Indira Gandhi conducted what is known as the Operation Blue Star in June 1984, when soldiers were sent in to free this temple. They killed hundreds of people, but even more importantly, it was seen to be a sacrilege of their holy site. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her Sikh bodyguards as a revenge for this. Now, riots followed and thousands of Sikhs were killed. Violence continued for the next 2 decades in India. And many thousands of Sikhs fled India and sought refuge in many countries, especially Western countries, including Canada. The Khalistan independence movement has continued on and off since then. But why this announcement by Trudeau this week? Surely it can't be a coincidence that Indian Party was also coming to the United States for a probe on the Panun plot. But leaving that aside, Some Canadian opposition parties, as well as Indians, argue that this announcement at this time is an attempt by the Trudeau government to take the attention away from its broader domestic political challenges, where he faces a declining approval ratings, especially with elections less than 1 year away.
If the opposition had spent any time listening to Canadians over the summer, he would have heard that they need solutions. They need answers to the challenges they're facing. That's not what he's offering. Indeed, he doesn't care about Canadians. He just cares about himself and his own political interests. We're going to keep focused on doing the things that he refuses to do, whether it's him voting against dental care, whether it's him voting against childcare, whether it's him voting against a national school food program. We're going to still deliver the things that matter to Canadians, like food in kids' bellies, childcare spaces, and supports for seniors to go to the dentist, many of them first time in years.
Canadians have been grappling with higher inflation, house affordability issues, as well as slower economic growth. By raising the allegations about India, he's shifting the focus away from the internal issues to a high-profile international dispute and positioning his government as standing up for Canadian sovereignty. Now, this is also important because there is also the electoral interference scandal in which China is being accused of interfering in Canada's 2019 and 2021 federal elections to favour certain candidates, particularly those who were seen to be more sympathetic to Chinese interests. Trudeau has faced criticism for not responding strongly enough on these allegations, and his government is under huge pressure to take tougher measures against foreign interference. Now, these concerns on the Chinese issue came to a head when Canadian intelligence and media reports suggested that Chinese interference involved campaign donations and influencing Chinese Canadian voters. This issue as well has eroded the trust in Trudeau's handling of national security and foreign relations. So once again, a huge impetus for Trudeau to take a stand on a national sovereignty issue. Now, despite the worsening relations with India, Prime Minister Trudeau has publicly stated that he is not looking to further escalate the situation and has engaged international allies like the United Kingdom to discuss the matter. India is crucially important to the Five Eyes intelligence alliance, in particular to the United States in its strategy to contain China. So it's not likely to be alienated in the Western sphere, even if these allegations of government-sponsored killings are proven to be correct. However, it will be given a message of NIMBY, not in my backyard. So you can go and kill somewhere else, but not in my country. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you think Trudeau is using this international issue to distract from the domestic problems he's having, like inflation or housing? Or is he genuinely standing up for Canadian sovereignty? Thank you for watching the video. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe to the content on this channel. Have a great day.